in page Kuf, show Mescheles in the middle of the page. Eine begeder Gile. והנה דבר זה צריך להבין גם ככס הנפש. So the question that we said, since what happened, what's the trigger that causes the Gile? So the same question that we said in Oya Kolbam and Oya Shabamara, we say the same thing about Isis, but Kechas HaNefesh. Moy Kechas Seichel, Dova Zet Tzach Lavin Gam Kechas HaNefesh. So we had same questions, Kechas HaNefesh, Moy Kechas Seichel, Ashpar Men Ashpar Mekabel, Knes Gile Seichel about the Isis. The Ashpar, when the teacher teaches a student, it comes to words, to Isis, to letters, the Isis Mlashon Osa. The Isis Mlashon Osa, it says in Pasuk, Osa Meriv Es Kodesh, coming means expressing itself, Shpanas Gili, the Isis and Amshach the Gilui Nefesh. The Isis, the letters, the words are really Amshachas and Gilui from the Nefesh. The Nefesh is revealed and drawn down. Vehein Megalin Es Eira Nefesh. And the Isis reveal the inside, the oil of the Nefesh, the light of the Nefesh. Eira Seichel is Galel El Zelos of the Isis. Ve'ein Nikoin Isis HaHezber. The Eira Seichel is revealed, expressed to the word, to the other, from the Mashpia to the Makabel, from the teacher to the student to the words. But these words are called Isis HaHezber. There's a word that explains. Yes, Isis HaSeichel Shemizgalim Menareh. There's a higher level of Isis. The Isis come automatically with the oil. The whole Seichel Yesh Belay Isis Shemizgalim. There's automatically Isis words that are created concurrently with the Eira Seichel itself. They're the ones who reveal, who bring out the revelation of the Eira Seichel from its source. So that's the type of letters like you'll say later, it's machshav and divu, more or less. The Isis is the way they are within the mind of the mashpia himself. Veyesh, Isis a hezber. He's machalik these two types of Isis. There's Isis a hezber and Isis a seichel. Isis a hezber she'einem Isis atzmik כמו Isis a seichel. כמו ההפך בין Isis machshav. This is a dibur כמו שכaz makamach. So that's why I said the easiest mashal to that is machshav and dibur. Machshav is gilul atzmik and dibur is gilul zelos. But the important part was to make is the next point. That seichel that the teacher teaches the student first. The teacher knows it for liatzmei. He knows it for himself. The way he understands it in his own mind and the way it reaches eventually the student are two different worlds. It's a different type of entity. It's a different, essentially totally different. The way that the teacher understands the mind in its head, in its mind, in its own way of understanding, and the way it's going to give it to the student. Okay, the bashpa, seichel. That when the teacher teaches the student the idea, so what the student gets is a different. It's a different. So it's a different type. It's a different entity. ואין זה רק, משל עצר, מסר, הם פנים בשם השכל, כנס הפשוט מלבוש השכל, המקב המגלה רק כנס חיצני השכל, מלבוש הסוג. משכל זה מקום אחר איפש בזה. Even the simple understanding we would think is that when he does it himself, he understands it deeper or more abstract, and the way he gives it to the student is more external and less and less abstract. But he says that's not the case. The way it is in the mind of the teacher, the way it reaches the student, there are two different entities. That brings a riot. Interesting. Like I said the first time, it's interesting to explain something in Nefesh HaAdam. Brings a riot from Eilam Solyeni. Brings a riot from Atzilus. So the difference between these two stages, between these two stages, two ways of understanding, the way it understands in the mind of the teacher, and the way it reaches the student, it's very much like the different Atzilus and Biyah. That says the famous statement in Kabbalah, that the way Teres and Atzilus, the way Teres and Bria are so different and distinct. There's two different entities. So it means that it brings a dogma. Like I said, it's interesting. We're learning now in the Goyim in Parshas Shavua, so we talks about it here also. But the Goyim Shalamato, who Shadam Nesa V'Nasa Lecha, the Neka V'Nasa Lecha Shom. Madam Neka Shom Nasa Lecha. What does Nagoyim mean? What is the concept of Tsaras? Nagoyim, that the blood in that part, the nega is the blood becomes muddled and turns into lecha, into something, a different color. That's a lecha, some kind of. I'm not sure what the nega is, but we don't just see in psukim that something in the skin, a different color. The dam, the blood that's flowing in the skin, turns into a different color. What is the really meaning? What the meaning is? Which really tells us that that part of the body, that part of the skin, is lacking the blood. The blood is not right over there, and the most importantly, the chayes, the levidikai, the living power within the blood is not in full strength. So the Targum Onkelos translates Tzaras is Gerusa. It's closed. When closed, that it's the dam is not open there. So that is the meaning of Nagoyim in Eilam Asiyah, in our own world, in our Lamata, in the physical world. What is the meaning of the Goyim in the Eilam of Bria Veitzira? Inyan Asher Yisoger Kli Asogas Aliva Mekabel Eilam Ava Machayes. In Eilam Yitzira, the Inyan of Nagoyim, Bria Yitzira, the Inyan of Nagoyim means that the Kli Asogas Aniva, the vessel of the Niva, in this spiritual Eilam, it's also Zgirus, it's closed up from receiving the early keys doesn't reach the proper. It does not cater to the cover the early key. So that's one. So both of these negoim, one the way it is in Masiyah, and one the way it is in Nitzira, the both of them talk about nevoim baligvul. Both are actions that are affect Nivoim Baligvul. Omnam Ba'atzilus. What is the meaning of Nagoyim in Atzilus? Shem Eye. The Atzilus means, first of all, there's Shem Eye. What is Dam in Atzilus? Shem Eye, Beribur, Begematria Dam. Shem Eye, it's one of the shiur Shemus. So that's Beribur. We explained the first time what Beribur means. 1 plus 6 plus 11 plus 26 is 44. So it's a certain type of gematria. The way you reach from A should be gematria dam. Who? Okay, so that's point one. Number two, who is Kim Chaim de Bina. So that's also Marames. A is Marames of Kim Chaim because dam means Chayus. What does dam mean? Kim Chaim because Kim Stam is Midas Agvur, and Kim Chaim is the Medreg of Bina. I'm shoched from this dam by Voim the Zot. That's what's happening in Elam Atzilus. And Bina, how does Bina operate? Bina mekabelas merachot. Aber, שזה plus mine. There's mine and dam. My dam is the kimchai. Bina. Mine is choch. When the Bina is mekabel. Bina is mekabel from Aber. Mekabel the mine. That makes this pashas adam. Just like in the physical world, what makes the blood run, we need to have liquid. So the water, we get water, and the water makes the blood run. It's a very gosh was the commercial, but that's what he's using here. So we describe what does dam mean in Atzilus and what does mayim mean in Atzilus, and how the dam operates, how the dam is expanding. What is the meaning of the negoim, the eneg of Be'eres? Be'eres means when it's white and there's no the blood in the Be'eres the way it is in Elamaz. There's no blood there, like you said before. Adam neka. So what does it mean? Lamayla Be'eres. Be'eres menias is spashas Adam. Shem eye machmes she'inem is spashas nesayab. Because there's no amshocha from Arab in Madrig of Bina, Mele, that causes the Madrig of Bina should be a lack of Spashtas Adam. That's the meaning of Neged. Ein Mashakosa Brigotatera, Bedu Shabaheres, in my there's my Brigotatera Baheres, the Bamaschil, Zestia Teres Amatsera, when you are Maschil, Adam Kir Shamed Hay. So if there are three memorim that he says, so it's usually doesn't happen in Chassidus that he actually brings a dogma to explain, to show us how the Torah of Atzilus and the Torah of Biyah are two different worlds. So I mean we see here the Richuk Erech from the Goyim Lamatan and Atzilus. The difference between Biyah and Atzilus, in Atzilus, according to the words, obviously it's two different things. One talks about clear sorts and nivro, and one talks about the spheres. So the nivroim and spheres are shalei be'er zeh. So that shows us the Torah of Atzilus and Torah of Bria are two different worlds. Okay. So what do we see from all this? From this discussion, we see, you just said earlier, that the different mashpia mekabels, like different Atzilus and Biyah, so what do we derive from this? The seichel kamoishu it's a mashpia in a berach mekabel kol. The way the seichel is in the mind of the mashpia, the way the idea exists within the mind of the teacher, ein be'erach mekabel kol. It's the way not in the erach of the mekabel. Oh, okay, so that's step one that he explained. That the seichel mekabel, the way it's with seichel mashpia, shalei be'erach. Omnom. At the same time, gam seichel nishmal mekabel nimtza kol b'seichel mashpia shalatzve. On the other hand, that seichel that the mekabel is eventually going to get is contained within the seichel mashpia. Because eventually what he teaches the student is what he himself knows. That's the simple meaning of a teacher. That's what a teacher is. But the way it is in the mind of when the teacher in his own mind is commercial the way he sees it from his perspective. So in the earlier in Ein Ches, he discussed that whole concept. The loya nika klab ifnei atzmei. The concept shloya nika the lifnei tzimtzum loya nika klab ifnei atzmei. within in other words, the seichel, the way it reaches the Talmud is contained within the seichel hara, but ain't later Nicolas. It's not recognizable as a separate entity. It's not recognizable vichlal. Not only is it not recognizable to the outside, within this, the teacher himself doesn't even know that he has that part of in his seichel that's eventually going to reach the student. I mean, Cain ain't. Oh, so okay. So this is the old Agdoma question. Because we started today. Cain ain't moving. Those that seichel oven gam keches hanefesh. So you got into this whole introduction that the way it operates in the keches hanefesh, seichel the way it is in the mind of the mashpia, the way it reaches the makabel, two different worlds. But mainly the question is the same question. Cain ain't moving. Eich nimtza hakach seichel and nishpal makabel. How does the seichel reach how does eventually, since it's social be'eref, like that tzilus and biyah, so how is it possible that seichel eventually becomes shach the makabel? How does that happen? What is, again, it's a question of central any movement. You have to explain what is the trigger, what causes one to reach the other.
R'Dovid is the fact
that okay, so we already have 2 or 3 dogmas of that question in the movement, but now he's going to bring another.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
This that is saying Eno move on that is an aral. It said at the time that he's learning himself, not that later on. In other words, if he wants to teach, he knows what he's going to be teaching. He's saying Eno move on when he's learning him on his own the first time or whatever it is, he doesn't have that concept of what you're going to say, correct? That's what it seems like. Not that when he wants to teach, he doesn't know. I hope he knows what he's going to be teaching.
1 second.
Look at the word. Be'et shemasigu maskil.
So what did I say?
So I'm saying that when he's learning for himself, then he doesn't know what he's going to be transferring to the student, but
right.
not at the time that he's going to teach.
Yeah, okay. But the question, at the time when he's going to teach, at that point, yeah, you're right. But the question is, the inner movement is, how is that from the stage that you're learning to himself and to the stage when he has a sech that he's going to teach, how does that transformation happen? Yeah, obviously, but okay, yeah. All right, but okay. Now he's going to talk about without a student. Then said within each individual person, the same question is also. The same question exists within the mind of every individual, not just as teacher. Every person has a koyach hamaskil. Every person has this ability to teach, to understand. Koyach hamaskil means the ability to understand, to analyze. הידוע דקויח המצקל אין מציא שכל פה. It's ידוע. There's something in the koyach hamaskil, that itself is not a seichel, רק koyach היולי על כל מיני שכל. אבל הוא מושל ממציא השכל. So it describes a certain thing that happens in the mind of a person. Let's read what it says, but you have to understand that that's not so. Okay, so what is saying? First of all, koyach hamaskil ain't a mitzvah seichel. Koyach hamaskil itself is not seichel. Or רק koyach היולי על כל מיני שכלים, אבל הוא מושל ממציא השכל. It's only potential, abstract potential that is mushal. At the same time, all the sichim that the person eventually reaches, they're all contained originally within the koyach hamaskil, because he's their source. The way the sichim exist within the koyach hamaskil are not not Metzias Sichel. Yedua brings a support for it. Yedua, it says another base of Chassidus, 9 base, שאין זה כמו הכלל ופרט, כי אם יהיו לי בגילו, שיהיו לי אין הכלל כמו הגילו, כמו הם השקוטים זה בדור בשביל שהקדים 9 base. So, in 9 base over there, klal apart and the yuli v'gila, klal apart, like we said, ein beklal amasha befrat, klal apart are very strongly they're really one part of the other. The klal is made up of the potim. The klal is made up of the potim. No, was like say the rule, the general rule, like we said, the pasuk says, "Al kol aveda sheyem kilzel al sel salm al kol aveda kol va'pesha al shoel chamoy al sel salm al kol aveda." It's klal apart. So when you say kol va'pesha, the klal contains all the details. Kol means all of them. So the klal and the part are really the same thing. The klal is just a general word that contains all the partings, and that way the klal and part are closer to each other. Mashenk and the Yulu Gilu means there's a potential for something, and then there's Gilu, it's a different word. So in our case, it's not klal apart. It's not the koyach hamaskil. It's not the koyach hamaskil actually contains all the sichlim that eventually is going to produce. The way it's in the koyach hamaskil, it's an abstract potential way. In case, so it's also the same question asked. Since the weight exists within its potential, it's mufshut, it's in a state of it's a very abstract state. How can from the koyach hamaskil, is it possible the koyach hamaskil produces an actual seichel? It's a similar question. But then the question is even more. It's not more of a question, but it's even harder to understand. Chassidus always talks about two dogs. In the potential seichel is the koyach hamaskil. Koyach hamaskil means translate into normal language. Like I said before, koyach hamaskil means the ability to, the talent of seichel. Let's say a person has a good head and he can understand things. So the having the good head, that's what we call koyach hamaskil. But then there's something called koyach haseichel yuli atzmi, which is even higher, which is even more abstract, which means it's called better than it's even more abstract than koyach hamaskil. Koyach hamaskil, agam shein tzif sichli. Koyach hamaskil is talking about tzif sichli, but at the same time, kol makom be'inyan sichli. Be'inyan sichli. It's not tzif be'inyan. Achas shubchines am shochem etzem koyach haseichel, this one is mokel seichel. So the way the koyach hamaskil is a lower state of gilui that has already some kind of connection to seichel. That's in the way that even he himself doesn't know. It's in the way that the nefesh has the koyach, the kol b'nefesh. Said earlier, every individual has that potential, but it's never expressed. It's never. Not only is it never expressed, it's never even reaches the stage of a good cup. So let's say every individual, according to this understanding, every person has a neshama, has the same kayfas. Not only and one of the kayfas is chachma and seichel, my koyach hamaskil. But when you look at the person, like I said earlier, sheite v'chasar das. When you look at him, you don't see it at all. It's never even reached the stage. In other words, by a person who was supposedly a chacham, so he already has that potential. Even before he learns, see, this child has a good head. He didn't do anything with it yet, but he has that potential. But then there's other child, he doesn't even have it, but he does still have the koich haseichel yatzim, because he has a nefesh, and the nefesh has koich haseichel. And the dogma says, like he said it already. He said earlier that the sheite meilit the chacham. The fact that the child can come out of a parent who's never expressed, that means that in the koich hanefesh it's there. So b'meile, so that's what he's saying here. Koich haseichel yuli atzmi, koich yuli atzmi she'ein achnas hamshach nesgil la'atzmi klal. Kanav chaseichel be'atzmi. Al kein einem be'inin seichel klal ve'ein achnas maka klal. רק שכוח המשכיל מוקר לשכל נמצא ממנו. בפועל, the כוח המשכיל comes from the כוח היולי עצמי. In case, so the question on that level is also the same question. איך נמצא ממנו שכל? So how the actual שכל produced and created from that state, from that madriga of כוח השכל היולי עצמי. So we have here this question that he asked, Eine move and Eich, he applied it to a few things. That was the first dogma. Then in Koiches HaNefesh, in Mashpia Makabel, then in Koich HaMaskel, then in Koich HaYuliat. Eich, so the question is Eich. Eine move and Eich. So the answer to all these questions is the
Sorry, just before you go further, so just in summary, what's the difference of Koach HaMaskil and Koach HaYuli?
Koach HaMaskil is at the stage. Koach HaMaskil is at the stage where he is already. We can see the person that he has the potential. He is smart. The way we see it is that actually we see that he's using a seichel and he comes up with good ideas, but that means that he has the koyach to create it. It's not seichel itself, but that's the madrega of koyach seichel, koyach hamas. Koyach yuli atzmi. That means that because he has an neshama, so he must have a seichel. So that's a person who can. It's possible that seichel, that koyach will never be revealed. It's more abstract. It's more hidden. I don't know. That's the best. I don't know a better understanding of it.
Can we say that Koach HaMaskil comes from the Koach HaYuli? In other words, that's the.
He says it clearly. He says the Koach HaMaskil. He says.
Okay.
He says. Koach HaMaskil. Koach HaMaskil, Mokar Sechel, nimtza mimenu. Yeah, of course. The Koach HaMaskil comes from the Koach HaYuli. He just said it. He just read it. Koach HaMaskil, nimtza mimenu. That's okay. But then he adds another thing that I skipped. So that we'll learn more about later. There is another way we reach the Koach HaYuli Atzmi. That comes from the Chayzer. So that we'll learn later more about. There's another way to reach the Koach HaYuli Atzmi. We sometimes, because the kids, sometimes we say that a person, the Rebbe talks in Sichas about Kusha Lepler. There was a big chassid of the Alter Rebbe called Kusha Lepler. That he himself, not know the person, the lashon of the Friedrich Rebbe in the Sichas, bull ate. He was like a log. He was not shaykh to any Indian Sichas. But to the Yigia, that's the Chayzer. Yigia means to a lot of hard work. He discovered that level of it was Megala, the Koach HaYuli Atzmi. That's called the Chayzer. Later we'll talk about it more. But this time that's the Chagam. The question still remains. The general question remains. We in all these examples he brought. You see that the way this call in the more, the way the seichel is called in the Hamaskil, in Yuliatmi, it's shaloi be'erech, and then eventually it comes out into real seichel, real. So the question remains: how does that leap happen? What is the trigger that makes it jump from one state to the other? So that question remains. So that is the question that he's going to deal with now. The Pasuk says, "Kishemesh Mogen Havai Elikim," that the Havai Elikim is like a sun and its shield. Sheyesh Mogen. So number one that we learn from it is Sheyesh Mogen Natak L'Shemesh. According to this, according to this pshat, again, I'm not even sure that's a simple pshat in Pasuk. Shemesh Mogen Elikim. The Eibush is a sun. The Eibush is a protector. It's two different things. But I'm saying this is the pshat like the Gemara said. So according to this pshat of Siddur says the Mogen means that the cover, the shield, the cover of the Shemesh. Yes, Mogen not Shemesh. The sun has a cover. And there's actually the Gemara says what's going to happen. L'Asid Love, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moitzi Chama Min Take. The Eibishter takes the sun out of its cover. Tzadikim Yisrapim Bo, Shoyim Nidoinim Bo. That part is not relevant. But the Gemara, the reason it brings the Gemara is to expand on the point that there is a madrega called not ki be'emes. Now he explains why does the Chama need an out? Why is it that the sun needs a cover? What's the point? Ki be'emes sheyim shachar v'gilim ha'shemesh ze ef shekimah de anatik from makul ha'shemesh. In order for shemesh, so that actually is in the process of answering the question that you started earlier. The answer basically is there's something called Mogen. Now that is that's the answer is not just when we get to earth. When we get to all these madrigas we spoke about, there is a stage, not even a stage. There is a certain different mode of being that makes that transformation that triggers the transfer, the move from the state of Etzem to the state of Gilui. That's called Mogen. Kiblo is again. Kiblo is the loyal Yitzam Shach Gil Me'Hashemesh. Without the Nautek, without the Mogen, without the shield, it's impossible for the Hashem with Gam Achashik Gam Koyach Kol Ba'Hashemesh ain't never get a Gilui Spashas Latzman. Like we just said earlier, that the way the oil is within the Shemesh, it's not Begeder Gilui. Ki what causes it? Alidei Hanal to the Nautik Shuat Sorva Kovo, which means the blockage and the stoppage, the holding in, that Atzor and that cover blocks and stops the oil Shabamor. That the fact that it blocks the part of it, that's the etzem, that creates the gilui. Kol mashatzov cover yoyser yibchinas the gilui yoyser. The more he's ma'akev it, the more he blocks it, that makes the gilui stronger. That's the way it is in the shemesh. Kamakin mashpia over kabel, similar way it is in the teacher and the student. When the mashpia, the teacher, blocks and contains the ashpoy within himself, that eventually creates the seichel in a way that shachar will come. That's the major statement he's making. That's the Mogen. This is the Mogen. The Mogen is this ability to reach the ability to block the essence, and reach the makabel. Now he's going into the explaining the inner meaning of this this statement we just made, that Tzor v'Akova, that creates the Gilui. So he says there are three ways to explain it. Zel Ma'alam Mizeh. Or Aleph, Shalidei Shema'akos Ashpazon Arinase Berach HaMakabel. By being Ma'akav the Ashpa, by blocking the Ashpa, he puts himself in the state that is more closer to the world of the Makabel. So he goes back to what we learned earlier. When the mashpia, when the teacher understands the concept of himself, because that seichel that he understands is in a state of muflo, it's separated, it's wonderful. It's a shalei be'erech to the makabel. So he brings in also dogma from Afshad from Atzilus. It's like a son who the Shaman Atzilus is compared in Chassidus and Zayah to a Ben the Chofetz B'Nizah Beisa, a son who's searching in the treasure that's in the house. The Ainu P'nes Atzilus Ma'am Atzilus means he's searching for Atzilus and above Atzilus, which is a very high level. Like we said earlier by the Mashpia, it's like Atzilus. But Meila Eine Be'erech Klal HaMakabel. So because that Mashpia, that teacher is compared to Atzilus, when he's containing and blocking and hiding, concealing the seichel the way he understands it, so he lowers itself to be in the level of the makabel. Even when he blocks the seichel, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have it anymore within himself. What is saying? This gam so it's still there's something left. The seichel is still left. Mainly, you can teach them a cup. And there's few stages in it. So the Yadua, there's a Seder, there's an order in that Hamshach, it's like Yud Kei Vav Kei, there's the Yud, which is the Kud, the Atzmis, and then is Pasha, the Hey, and then there's Vav Hey. There's a few stages within the mind of the Mashpia to reach the Makab.
The thing before it, I'm sorry, the statement before the parenthesis, שהכל השייך אל המקבל. נמסו אצלו האור
שכל השייך אל המקבל.
שכל, okay. Thank you.
Okay. וכמו כן למעלה, so similar to that, okay. Similar to what we just described in the teacher and student, is also in the Nimshal Lamaila in spheres that Atzilus, when she calls the Better with the Ramasa Pascha Leo, Pashas Vayera, the Alter in Terror, in Pascha, the Maya Pascha Leo, Pashas Vayera explains the Pirush of Salt in the Ruach Asher Alecha. The Pasuk says that the Eivish told Moshe Rabbeinu, Pashas Ba'aleich, by the Skeni, but Salti in the Ruach Asher Alecha, but Samti Aleim. But Salti means I will emanate, I will be Mamshich, to the Alter Rebbe touches. Oirid ve'amshech b'china shelcho v'mata madrigoscha. Salti means I will lower and draw your state to a lower state. Ari pirush v'salti oirid ve'amshech. So the Salti means oirid. Basically, he's medayik in the word oirid. Oirid means a yerida. Yerida means like it's a state of atzor, of blockage. והציל צריך להסגיר שלך את מוסף, משקוס מקמח. הרי זה על ידי ירידה כבר נכנס באחרים, אז על ידי זה המשוך את So basically, he's using the word oirid So the word oid is really another way of saying that it's an elim. It's a tzor avdol. So that was the first shot. He said before kama yifanim. So the first explanation. Why is it the dafka to the Yerida? Dafka to the halama, the atzor, the akova, that creates the gilui, because the atzor akova makes the mashpia reach the olam hamakabel. So that's one explanation. Base. Then the second way of explaining it is.
I'm sorry. So I'm sorry. Just before you go to the base, so the fact that it's holding back is just as we learned before. Maybe not in here doesn't explain it, but as I'm thinking, I'm asking.
Yeah.
What the hakova does? The hakova just basically is a simsum. It diminishes the light like the simsum, but
Right.
it doesn't say that it's in here. It says the fact it's a hakova. You know, saying it doesn't seem. It seems like to be saying something else. Just the hakova itself. It doesn't say the diminishment of the sechel.
Not diminishment. It's more like the blockage. It stops the seichel the way it himself. It's the same thing. I mean, I think he's going to use later the word tzimtzum. Yes, usually what we call it tzimtzum. It's the same. It's the same concept. But you know what? When you learn it again, you also look. There's some words. The Friedrich Rebbe in his Maimah, like I mentioned, Kishemesh Mogen Tzadik Beis. His copies the same Maimah, and he explains this. He uses a little more words. Maybe that will help us understand when we get to it. Okay, Beis, the second stage. That's different. The second explanation is that when he blocks himself, he creates a vessel by the makabel. It sort of creates the makabel. The psila, it's like the psila there, because of when you say the age, it's explained in other places. When it says in Tani that say the age, the element of fire should be the Yisodesh itself, the element, the pure element of fire, doesn't have not light, not heat, something which is very abstract. What makes them into the psila, the wick, which means which are the psila, that's going to say meir shall yesh na psila ain't the psila meir. Kalidation nechas, they said, "No, there's not going to say meir." Only when there is some makabel, like in the case of the Eranir, the psila, the wick, that makes the candle light. So that's the second explanation. The first explanation was they diminish the Eira Seichel. The second explanation was that the Hatzor Vakova creates a makabel. There's no makabel before it. I think that's pshat. Zeo shekosu, and there's another remez on it. Zeo shekosu, it says in Pasuk, oite oir kasalma. That what was the word? Misatif, he covers himself with oil, with kasalma, like a garment. Shalidea salma levush nasbusavigil. So that salma means a garment which covers you, and that creates gilui. The oil creates gilui. This is a medrash, and then he brings a medrash to strengthen the point. Question. Medrash asks a question. How did the Eibishter create light? Medrash answers him, "Lamash nisata v'kadosh baruch hu, but salma v'ivik ziv hoyer." I forgot again the word for misatif. The Eibishter is misatif. Wait, a salma wrapped, right? Wrapped around. They wrapped himself with salma, with a garment, and that created the light. So he says now he tells us that this question of the matter is actually the question we asked now. I'm the same question. Since the means gilui, and even the and the atzmi, the etzem, now even the kol be'etzem like we learned earlier in the Maimon is also we can't eichni v'oyer gilui. That is the question of the medrash. That's an interesting shot, but okay, that's a chassidus shot in the medrash. Eichni v'oyer means how is it possible that oil should be created from the moyer if it's shalei be'erech? And that's the answer. Shenisata besalma. So the answer is that he used something called salma. I know davar nechas, that he created some outside garment, kaviyach, like the psila. And that created the earth gil. So according to this understanding, the Atzorah cover is not just a lowering of the, not just a concealment of the oil, but more than that, it's the creation of a seal, the creation of a davar nechas, creating something of an outside force that that's in the kabel.
How is it that the ikuv has ashpa on the mekabel? Davar nechas. How does davar nechas is something outside of the mashpia?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the mugging. Okay, so in that world, I don't know how it works in the world of. Okay, we can explain it also maybe, but mashpia makabel. But it's here he doesn't talk anymore of the lashon of mashpia makabel. He's using a different marshal. So that's like the mugging. Mugging is, I mean, it's an outside, another force. The koyach hagvul. It's a different koyach. So here it says what it means. L'mayla. The beshosh of the salman now is a machshava dan ha'emlech. But then nechat for himself is going to shachas ha'emlech. Because there's a machshava dan ha'emlech, the Eibishter wants to be king in a world of makabli, in a world of independent beings. So b'meile, b'zen nechaz ha'em sof. That allows the ha'em sof to be misgalet. Shachas ha'emlech. Move on shan nechaz ha'oyer shebe'etzem so what madrega of the oyer nechaz, it's not the highest level. I don't know why. Okay, that's a different concept of why he brings this in here. The oyer nechaz ha'oyer shebe'etzem really oyer with the chatchila zev shel.
It sounds like this first one also. It sounds like the Nartek, more or less, a little bit. No, I'm saying the fact that it's like Simsum. They're just saying that.
Yeah, but it's a different aspect of the Tzimtzum. Yeah, okay.
You're saying that
You're right. It sounds similar, but the two levels, I guess, in explaining how the oil is only a result of the muggin. One is that the oil allows the mashpia to reach the makabel. The other one is that the oil that the oil allows the makabel to exist. I think that's pshat. The psila.
Because bitul. The makabel becomes bitul to receive it. Is it something? It doesn't say that, but I'm saying it seems.
Why are you going to
say how the keli how the makabel becomes the nechas dawar nechas, as I said before, the dawar nechas is outside of the mashpia. How and that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying. Bitul, because he becomes butter to the mashpia, then it's going to be dawar nechas. It doesn't say that, but it seems like that.
Okay. All right, fine.
So does it make sense? Because otherwise, how is dawar nechas?
Okay. We're gonna go over these things again next time alone. Like Gimel. Okay, I agree. Then there's a third explanation. That sounds. Who? So what does it mean? The etzem atzor cover that creates the gil. Who the yois the kakavane shegil what much atzmus. Well, they are cover. Well, they are cover. Ushum is galo. It's not atzmus from this gil. So b'meila that is. The third explanation is this is the ultimate purpose. This is the ultimate purpose of the gilui. There should be gilui, and others the gilui happened to the atzor v'akov. It's really a mamish of shota here. V'zeu inyan shemesh hamogen sh'ayidei hamogen v'nartik amatzu ma'akav zed davke ha'gilui. So all three really the last line applies to all three explanations. There's the Morgan, but what's the point of the Morgan? So he gave us three explanations. I think next time we're going to learn. We're going to repeat this. All right. So I guess we're not going to. We'll reconvene the day after. I don't even think Isser Chag. The day after Isser Chag, which will be a Thursday. Thursday after Pesach. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be in a place I can teach. So, Kosher from Pesach, everybody.
Kosher from Pesach. Thank you very much for everything. Thanks.
Shabbos.
Shabbos, Yom Tov.